Um, there we go. Okay, great. So, um, just going to looking at our agenda that I just wanted to share. I just wanted to go through the minutes of our last call. Did anybody have any comments uh, from the minutes from last time? Any comments or any updates on actions or anything? We'll cover where we are with governance in a moment. We had the update on the BPNA and GEL meetings, and any updates or thoughts, any feedback on any of the actions? Everybody's really quiet today. Okay, I'm going to take that silence as everything's good, so everybody's happy with that. Um, so um, I think what I ought to start off with, which is not on the agenda, is we do have I think I've seen we've had a couple. Yes, we've got Matt who's joining us for the first time today from MedCan. So warm welcome to Matt. We also I'm lining up a call, but I'm hoping that the RET UK and Reverse RET will also be joining us in the network. So maybe let's just give a moment for Matt to introduce himself to everybody. Yeah.
Hi everyone. I'm Matt, co-founder and director of MedCan Family Foundation here in the UK. We're an organisation campaigning for access to unlicensed cannabis medicines that are available privately at the moment for NHS access, and just the wider conversations around innovative forms of research and evidence around other types of medications for severe epilepsy. Just as a background, my son was diagnosed at 10 weeks old with infantile spasms, was suffering over 100 seizures per day. Unfortunately, all the treatments he was given weren't able to help him. I know Jenny, who's on the call as well, she helped us in the very early days. So UK Infantile Spasms Trust have been amazing to us. And then, yeah, is basically the NHS said there's nothing more they could do for him. We went down the brain surgery route, and that wasn't an option. So we then turned to cannabis as a last resort, and we saw over an 85% reduction in seizures. So he's now in school, he's thriving, he's doing really, really well. So as an organisation, we now support over 700 families in the UK across a wide range of rare disease or rare syndromes of epilepsy. And lots of questions around, cannabis and its use, and generally other medications as well. So we're there for education, giving advice. We work internationally with clinicians across the world and research organisations, those that are running clinical trials, etc., across the world. And that's what we're trying to push for here in the UK as well, is more clinical trials in use of these medicines. So it's a very brief kind of introduction of what we're doing.
Thanks very much, Matt, and welcome. That's great. So let's move further through the agenda. So just an update. I just wondered, because we've got Daniel with us today. Do we have any update on the Conditions Insight report? Have we heard anything back? Can't hear you, sorry. think maybe he's going to try and duck out and come back in again. So just give him a moment, see if he arrives back. Otherwise, we'll carry on and we'll come back to Daniel. I think in the interest of time, shall we continue on? So I'll give you a quick update on the whole governance and what we've been doing around formalising UKRET into a charity. So we have been making progress, but we have been, a little bit time hampered by festive season and all of those good things. These things never happen overnight. But we have agreed that we will move forward as a small charity just to get us established as a charitable organisation in the first part. We have a chair for our trustees, Simeon Baker, who has agreed to, he's been a chair on a number of different boards, works with Charlie, and brings a wealth of experience to governance of charities, so that'd be incredibly helpful. And Ella has agreed very kindly to be our secretary. And the third post that we needed to fulfill as a trustee board so that we can formally set ourselves up is a treasurer, and we've struggled, but actually in the last week or so I've just been given a couple of CVs for treasurers. We were also exploring potentially with the Epilepsy Society whether they might be able to help us out with their treasurer as kind of a loan, as in somebody who could just fulfill that role, because it won't be particularly onerous in the first instances. We would need the 3 trustees to establish ourselves. So hopefully now we've just received those couple of CVs, maybe we will be able to find a treasurer ASAP, and then we can formally sign a constitution and set up as a small charity. And then, as we've said in the past, what we will then aim to do in the next sort of 6 months to a year is then transfer over to a CIO and register. But setting up with a basic constitution would allow us to open a bank account, which is why we need a treasurer. And then we can start to go out and try and find some income and some funding for our activities. So we are making progress. It's not quick, but I think all of us know these things do take time, but we are making progress. So we'll keep you posted on that. Any questions on that side of things before we go back to Daniel? Oh, very good. All happy. Okay, Daniel, can we hear you now?
Hopefully you can. Yes. Okay, so yeah, I met with Chris from IES, the independent assessment providers, probably the end of last year now, but unfortunately they've lost the government contract to provide the assessments, so they're being replaced at some point this year. So we've kind of hit a brick wall with IAS at the moment, but I have since then met with Chris's kind of equivalent in Capita, and I've shared the condition insight report with them. That was kind of some point in January. So I'm just waiting to hear back from them. And then, yeah, unfortunately, we're kind of back to square one with the other assessment providers. I'm waiting to find out who's replacing them and who would be the best person to contact there once they're up and running. But hopefully once that's happened, we can get in with them fairly quickly and share the condition insight report with them and kind of where we were up to with Chris and hopefully take it from there. But yeah, that was a bit of a setback, unfortunately. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's a shame, but thank you very much for continuing to follow up. And it doesn't sound like all of our good work has been lost at all. Just
No,
need to find the right the right organisation that's
Exactly, yeah. And I mean, it was a bit of a shame in a way because yeah, we'd built up that relationship with Chris, and he seemed willing to try and push for it internally there. But yeah, we'll see who. I think they might have announced who has the contract. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's just finding a contact in that new organisation. If I think it's someone who's providing another assessment in another part of the DWP at some point. So I probably would have someone there that we can at least get in touch with initially to find out who the best person to get the condition insight report in front of would be. So I can keep plugging away at that. But yeah, Capita seemed quite interested, so I just need to follow up with them because it's been almost a month now since I shared it with them to see where they've got to with it.
Okay, thank you very much, Daniel. Okay, so moving on, next on the agenda, I thought it's worth talking about a couple of the events that have happened since we last met. And let's get some updates from several of the people on the call here. We're definitely at BPNA. Would anybody like to sort of update the group on their sort of feedback from BPNA this year?
I can go if you like. Yeah, I thought it was, so previous year it was at Edinburgh, and we're in a beautiful big building, but we're in a little room that you had to go up to the stairs to find. So footfall wasn't brilliant, and I really appreciate, and I did reply to them to say they clearly put some effort and thought into making charities easier to find and to have better footfall. So we're in the main sort of symposium hall, and we were around the edge. The problem is people would come in for lectures, would be there for a couple of hours, and then pretty much immediately leave for the teas and coffees. And it also meant because we had to be quiet when the lectures are on, we didn't really get to chat that much between ourselves, which is the other advantage of being there. So, you know, it's always good because it's quite a nice little manageable conference, and we had some good conversations, but I still don't think they've cracked the charity exhibition. I fed back to them that we really need to be in with the teas and coffees. That's the only way we'll get people to come and see us, I think.
Yeah, would anybody like to sort of to add to that?
I'd agree with that, really. Sorry, my camera's not working today. We found we had a lot more footfall, but still we did have the problem that people left immediately the lectures finished. They did do a stamp card which worked quite well. So if you collected 4 charity stamps and one from one of the main exhibitors, then you were entered a prize draw. So I fed back to them that I really appreciated the effort that they made, but I still think there's a way to go in getting us out with people who are paying thousands for their stands. But
Trudy, you've got your hand up there.
Yeah, I'm just going to be obviously speaking on behalf of Stephanie, really. She attended for Gluten Deficiency UK, and she reported the same thing back, really, that as a small charity, we have to weigh up whether we're actually getting engagement from the professionals when we attend the conferences, because it costs us a lot of money to attend. And it's something that I have asked Stephanie to report directly back to the BPNA, because she, like I said, she did attend on behalf of us. And she just felt that, you know, they were, as well as it was a very good point you made, Claire, that, you know, we were in the room with everybody. So I suppose that has the benefits that you can listen in to the presentations and things like that. But on the other hand, if you're just forced to the edge and everyone's rushing to get a coffee, then, you know, you're missing the footfall altogether. So yeah, we would agree. And I'm sad to say it would be something that we would really consider whether or not we would attend in the same capacity then, just on cost alone, which is a shame. So yeah.
Yeah, that's great. I know that on the UKRET stand, Laura attended all 3 days for us, and I was there for one day, and Steph was there for a couple of days. They did feedback to me that they got a few more people on the Friday, on the last day, because there was an announcement about the stamps. So I think the attendees all suddenly went round the charity stands to get their stamps to try and get a prize. So they did get a little bit more traffic. I think perhaps we definitely need to feed back that this was better, but I do wonder that as charities, the best way to get anybody to come and talk to you is to have something to present. If they could give us 5 minutes to present something as part of the actual event, then I think people would want to come and talk to you about it, about what you mentioned. If somebody is given the chance to stand up and say something about UKRET or the particular charity or the condition, from that patient perspective, I think the charities would get an awful lot more footfall. I don't know if anybody had posters, whether they felt, do you get a lot of traction with your posters?
We had one. Andreas presented on the results of our family survey, and there was it was quite a packed room. There was some really interesting discussions around that poster, but I don't feel like it kind of came. And we actually had a second one who the presenter wasn't there, and this was some focus groups we did about adjusting to being a parent of a child with Dravet syndrome. And I stood up at the end and said, presenter isn't there, but if anyone wants to come to chat to us, we're here in the main room. And I don't think anyone did. I don't know. I think there's something about, and I think the stamps were good because it gave an incentive. And I agree, it was definitely a bit busier on Friday morning. So maybe it's about having an incentive to those healthcare professionals to come to the stat. I don't know if we ask them to fill out a survey or do some, and obviously we can't give away prizes, but it's the pull factor, isn't it? I've got to find a way to pull them in.
Yeah, I wonder if we can come up with something innovative, because I do believe the BPNA are kind of open to some suggestions. Small steps, not major changes, but I think potentially if we can come up with something, maybe it's worth suggesting trying something a little bit different, or to build on the sort of the successes and improvements each year. Maybe also from consideration for other events as well, would be good. Thanks for those updates. I have to make apologies to Kathy, because Kathy's with us, and I'd forgotten this is Kathy's first meeting with us. So I didn't give Kathy a chance to introduce herself. So I'm just going to go back one step and let her do that.
Oh, thanks, Alison. Yeah, it was partly because I realised that my university account has just given me my universal username rather than my actual name, so I'm even more anonymous than usual. I'm Kathy Abbott. I'm a professor at University of Edinburgh, and I'm a basic scientist, not a clinician, but we work on a rare epilepsy called EF182, and we don't have a patient organisation yet, but I'm in touch with a lot of the families. There's a very active Facebook group, so I'm really here representing them, and if I can give any input on the sort of from the point of view of being at conferences on the other side, I'm very happy to chip in with anything. Actually, on that note, I was just wondering if I realise this may not be the aim, you're probably aiming at healthcare professionals, but I wonder if you might get more engagement sometimes at conferences where there's more scientists who are not always in a position to talk to families and carers and hear about the patient perspective, but who might be much more willing to engage. But I mean, I realise that's probably not your main purpose, but just a thought. Thank you for letting me be here, and thank you for letting me introduce myself.
That's great. Thanks, Kathy, and my apologies once again. I don't, from my perspective, I don't think, events where there are perhaps more scientists, more research scientists rather than practicing clinicians. I think any of us that have or want to dip our toes into the research field, which is probably most of us on the call somewhere, would want to willingly engage with scientists and researchers to tell them our thoughts and ideas and what we do know and what we want to find out, and try and see if one day we can pique someone's interest, because often it's serendipity, isn't it, that you happen to have those conversations, and it sparks a new partnership or something. So I don't think that's a bad idea at all.
Could I comment on
Yeah,
that?
go on.
Sorry, I've not been at one of these meetings before either. I'm Sarah Schofield.
Sarah.
I'm representing SYNGAP 1 UK. Mel used to do these meetings. I've taken over from her. Just on that point about the scientific meetings, I mean, we have a roughly yearly conference usually up in Edinburgh, because Patrick Wild Centre at Edinburgh is the people who do research in SYNGAP in this country, and we get great engagement. I mean, obviously it's a SYNGAP family get together plus conference. All the researchers come and talk to us about things. We have our talks, but then we also sit around and chat to the researchers and really help to guide some of the research, and yeah, it's a really positive collaborative approach. So it may well be that the researchers or the research conferences are more of a way to go than the medical professionals, if you want the engagement.
Thanks, Sarah. No, that's really helpful. Anybody else have any other thoughts they want to share at this point? Okay. Just give I'm not sure if anybody else was at the London Rare Disease Showcase, although Tony, you might well have been there. Were you at the Beacon Showcase?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's where I had the chance to speak. I was given the privilege of the 5-minute lightning talk to present the UKRET network as a concept.
Yeah, I thought it came over really well. It was good. Thank you for doing it. Yeah,
no, I actually got some really good feedback from the concept that we're, the working model that we're presenting, because I presented it as a, could this model of a network work for other groups of rare conditions? And I've actually subsequently already had a call with another charity in a different group of conditions who are thinking, actually they'd like to do something very similar. And Genetic Alliance, even though I think Nick Mead did kind of know I was doing this and we were doing this, he was like, oh, I wasn't aware that's what you guys were all doing. And we got some really good feedback from them as well. So it feels like, and also got approached by a couple of people from the MHRA as well, who, we sort of, got those tentative links with, which is unusual. So it drew some interest, which is positive. Yeah, go on, Tony.
Yes, I did notice when we started off, there was the odd representation from the Genomic Medicine Service Alliance. Are there still, I suppose I could look myself, but I haven't looked through your sort of distribution list that's on the emails, but is there anyone still involved on that side? Because I think it's useful to have them on board. Although I suppose in my role as a PPI rep for the Central and South, I can act as a slight liaison there, but I don't know, have you had any other contact from any of them, Alison?
No, not specifically. So maybe if that's a something that you think we should be following up or could be useful, then definitely open to it, to any ideas.
I'll have a think just to see what's best. I mean, people are probably aware when the Genomic Medicine Service was set up, they had a series of transition projects that were being progressed by the 7 Genomic Medicine Service alliances around England. And then the second year, they started off a thing called Networks of Excellence. And when they were all being put together, nobody really had much of a clue what they were doing, to be honest. But they're now all coming together. There's I think it's 7 or 8 projects now that have been funded to be taken forward. Artificial intelligence network of excellence is one as an example, and there's various other ones. So I'll have a look through them and just to see if there's anything that sort of clicks, and then put you in touch, Alison, in case there needs to be some further discussion. But I do think it's it's the future where things are going, pharmacogenomics particularly. So it'd be worth making sure we're in people's sights if we can.
Yeah, no, definitely. If you can hook us up with anybody there, I think that's a great idea. I think I saw another hand. Does somebody else want to say something?
Oh, sorry, it was just me, Alison. Sorry, I've got the kids at home, so it's slight chaos at my house. I've got all 3 on half term running around. But I was just, I thought you did, just wanted to reiterate, I thought you did such a great job at the Beacon event, and I totally agree. I think conferences are a fantastic opportunity for getting the word out there. I've had the same experiences where you're actually speaking rather than on a stand. I found that you get much more interest from people that may not have otherwise approached you. So I just wanted to reiterate that, really.
I just see that Kathy's suggested Felix Chan, who's organising a European Epilepsy Conference, and obviously as Felix is on our board and a great supporter of this network, I would hope that he would definitely think of us. But now that we know he's organising that, thanks for the heads up, Kathy, we can go out proactively and say, hey, we hear you're doing this. Any opportunities for us to get involved and what we can do, and then find out what the opportunities are. So brilliant. Definitely follow up on that. Thanks, Kathy. One of the things that has come out though, so coming back to the agenda, I've just literally the other day received a request from ESNA. They are offering the opportunity for a UKRET stand at their forthcoming conference in June. They've got some, looking for charity stands and so on and so forth. Do we think that might be a good idea? That's in Milton Keynes. And actually we've got good connections with ESNA. I know Phil and Sarah Tittensaw very, very well. I wonder whether might even be another speaking opportunity or something that we can try and get out of them. Any thoughts?
Are we doing anything specific for Rare Disease Day? Latching on to Genetic Alliance's initiatives?
That's a good. We haven't coordinated anything as UKRET. Is anybody doing anything individually that they'd like to share? Any thoughts for a shared Rare Disease Day?
Well, I mean, just as an example, I mean, we're latching on to them because it makes it a massive thing. So all them sort of materials, one of my 2 part-time staff ladies is sort of grappling with stuff and ready to put posts out and things like that. So it's really just an opportunity to get some real awareness going.
I guess in a way, like we did with the International Epilepsy Day yesterday, and Claire and the Dravet team helped us You know,
Yeah.
quite a lot of us I saw did share stuff yesterday, which was quite
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. And they've got all the materials sort of ready to go. So it's just a question of us sort of cutting and pasting into their formats and stuff, and then using. So take the effort out. But if you've done it for yesterday, I missed that obviously, but I was away yesterday. But yeah, that would be good.
That's a really good idea, I think. Do others think that's a good idea? And if so, anybody like to volunteer to kind of coordinate a joint message? I mean, obviously we can put out our individual messages as well. But I think it's good to have a joint message as well.
Stuff you used yesterday.
Oh, sorry. Go for it. Sorry, were you saying something, Tony?
No,
I'm
sorry,
happy.
I thought somebody else was wanting to do something.
I'm happy to help. We're happy to help again, or we can rotate round. It's what everyone prefers, really. I think I haven't looked at Rare Disease Day, actually. The International Epilepsy Day I thought of because it popped into my inbox. Usually they have some kind of preset theme, so yeah, I'm happy to go away and have a look at it if it's helpful. Just let me know.
Thanks, Claire. Hi, yeah, go on.
So yeah, I'm happy to put something together for it as well. Do you mean similar, if you want to rotate it, similar to what we did for Epilepsy Awareness Day? Yeah, I'm happy to do that if you want to rotate it. The other thing I was going to say is we've been invited, or I've been invited to, I don't know if anyone else is going on Rare Disease Day. It's the Gene and Cell Therapy at Great Ormond Street Hospital at the Zayed Centre for Research. Is anyone else going to that?
Yeah, I think my colleague Catherine is going to go to that one. Is that with Fergus Walsh?
Yes, exactly.
Yes, she is. Yeah, I'll ask her to look out for you.
Yeah, so that's something. I mean, if we get the opportunity to speak to anyone there, I suppose in terms of networking, we can obviously speak about it there. UKRET.
Okay, that's great. I didn't know about that one.
I can forward it to you if you like.
Yeah, I think it's worth forwarding to the group if there's opportunities, if anybody wants to be there.
Yeah.
I'm going along to the parliamentary reception at Westminster. Anybody else going along to that?
I'm going to try.
Yep, I am.
I'll be at the Welsh one. So I'll be at the...
Brilliant. Excellent. So we'll have some representation. I think definitely need to get out there. That's great. Okay, I know that we have Amy with us today, and wasn't on the agenda, but I wanted to let give Amy the chance. She's got a bit of an opportunity she wants to share with everybody. Let's see whether there's an opportunity for any collaboration here. So I hand over to Amy.
Hi everyone. I'm sorry I missed the beginning of the meeting. Yeah, I'm Amy and I'm from UKIS, UK Infantile Spasms Trust. So I work with Jenny, who's also on the call, I think. And we had a company called Fraser Nash contact us. They're a consultancy firm, to ask if we had any projects that we might like help with, because they've got a group of graduates who are in a competition, and on behalf of a charity they were inviting people to basically apply to be a beneficiary of their services for free. So we put in a couple of proposals, and they took one of them up. And that's we as a charity, we give grants for pieces of equipment and therapies. I'm sure a lot of you have similar things. And we find that because of the age of onset of infantile spasms is obviously quite young, there's a bit of a gap in the market for a piece of equipment that is not a bumbo for a baby, because bumbos are awful and not very supportive, and not recommended even for neurotypical children by physios. And then the next step up is your like go-to seats, which Firefly make, and that's from 1 year plus. So there's this gap in the market where babies who have low tone, hypotonia, have different genetic conditions, and who've had infantile spasms, there's nothing really there that can help support them so that they can sit independently, so you can get face-to-face time for speech and language development. And of course, if they're on their backs on the floor all the time, then they've got to overcome gravity to learn how to bring their hands together. And so there was a product that was manufactured about 12 years ago called a cushy tush. And we have a few of these, and our community sort of recycles them around. But we have concerns because they're sort of 12 years old now, and there's a certain amount of attrition each time they're used. So the project that Fraser Nash took up was to reverse engineer these seats, so that we might be able to either manufacture them, or we could work with a supplier, or we could become a customer of somebody who wanted to manufacture them. And they got in contact with the original manufacturers, and basically there isn't an appetite to reinvent this product. But they're going to approach Firefly about potentially making this product again. I've got it here. So the reason I'm here today basically is to gauge interest in, because I've got to get back to them with potential numbers of how many, I guess, if Firefly were to take up the project and manufacture them, how many that are likely to be bought, I guess, from a marketing point of view. So I'll show you, I've got one here. So they're very, very supportive. So they come up to about the back of your neck. So they're not suitable for all babies. We have given them out before and they just haven't been supportive. So we always say, make sure your physio gets to assess your child sitting in it. And basically the tray comes off like this, and the baby sits inside, and then the tray goes on top. And then that way, rather than being lying on the floor and having to overcome gravity, it brings their shoulders up. If the child is not having to work on their core and sitting, then they can focus on learning how to use their hands. So yeah, that's it in a nutshell, really. So Alison has got my email. I won't put anybody on the spot now to say, are you interested? But if anybody did think that this product might be of interest to families that you support, then if you just drop me an email, that would be great. And then I can, if I have a meeting with Firefly, fingers crossed, then it just helps sell the product to say, oh yeah, we've got interest from, this people, that people. I suppose Firefly will already have connections with, equipment services, the NHS. There's 160 portage services in the UK that serve, countless amounts of children. There's 30 children's hospitals in the UK, but I don't have any connections with those, so I can't, it's not something I can go to them and say, is this of interest? So I'm hoping you guys might be interested. Okay.
Thanks so much, Amy. That's great. I'm very happy. I can share that your email and we can share that in the minutes, if that's okay. But anybody can contact you if they're interested.
I guess the other thing is, do you have any questions? I realize I forgot to say the age range that they're suitable. So the original seats were from 3 months until around about 18 to 24 months. And then we find by the time a child is 2 years old, then if they're not sitting independently by that time, they probably need something more specialized anyway. Yeah, does anybody have any questions? And if not, I'll probably head off.
Yeah, just one quick one, Amy. What's it made out of? I'm just thinking about when Charlie was having constant spasms. We've got a video of him when he's smacking his head on the table in a, you know, your normal high chair. Yeah, I was just looking at the thing. It looked like it's some sort of foam, which might actually be quite handy.
Yeah, so it's actually made of, you know, the inside of doors of cars. It's made out of that, so it's basically like polystyrene.
Yeah.
With again with the concern about the attrition of them, they won't last forever. So yeah, they are, I would say, better for a child to be potentially having a seizure,
spasm,
but
yeah.
obviously not ideal. And there's definitely some improvements that could be made on the design. Like these ones, you are not supposed to have them attached to a chair. Sorry, I was just reading.
Quite good to me.
Yeah. So I see that there's somebody in the call from CDKL5. So we've had children with CDKL5 who also have had infantile spasms. I found them really useful. We've had children who have Down syndrome who found them really useful. We've had various different like metabolic conditions, because obviously infantile spasms, there's countless underlying causes, and overall the feedback has been really positive. It's just the concern about the age of them and, you know, finding replacements into the future. Anybody else got any questions? No. Okay.
If we have any, I'm sure we can pass those on to you. Thanks, Amy. Thanks ever so much for joining us and sharing that opportunity. Okay, just looking across my other screen, so other couple of bits for news sharing. So Sanjay Sisodia has been in contact with me again recently, just to remind us. I think we've mentioned this before, but I don't know how many of you are already signed up for the Rare and Hot Climate Change Symposium that he's organising at the Chalfont Centre in March. I believe it's going to be hybrid from the link, so we'll share the link around in the minutes as well if anybody wants to participate. I have been in discussion with Sanjay to see whether there might be a speaking opportunity from somebody from UKRET, and he was open to that. I think he's really keen to hear that, you know, patient family perspective on the impact of climate change on any specific individuals or families, and if they felt that, you know, the rising temperatures are impacting the seizures and the other symptoms in any way. So if you think you've got a good story that would really, you know, showcase something, do let us know. We can see if we can get something lined up with Sanjay on the agenda for that. And he's also, I popped it in the agenda, but he's also arranged an online survey that he would like us to share with our patient communities, to ask for their experiences and opinions on climate change, so they can solicit that from patient families that we support. So he'd be very grateful if us as a network could circulate that survey and see if they can get some responses to gather that evidence from the rare epilepsy community. So please feel free to share the link across each of your communities. Is anybody already signed up to go along in March out of interest? Yeah, Claire's going. I believe, although it's epilepsy related and Sanjay's leading it and it's at Chalfont, he is trying to make it more relevant to the wider range of rare diseases and rare conditions. I'm not sure how much wider that audience will be. I don't know, we'll see. Could be really interesting. Great. So did anybody else have anything they wanted to share before I give you a couple of updates of what might be coming up when we next convene? No, everybody's really quiet today. Couple of opportunities have presented themselves. Speakers weren't quite ready to present today, but they believe they very much will be in 3 months' time. So we are anticipating 2 sets of guest presentations at our next call. The first one will be from Aparito. They're led by Eileen Haff-Davis. I don't know if any of you know of them. Aparito they provide an app for monitoring of symptoms in the home setting, and the data that's collected from that home monitoring can be made available for clinical trials or research evidence into the impact of a condition in the day-to-day environment, basically. They are currently partnering with Dravet Spain and with SYNGAP 1, I believe it is. There was an announcement in their latest newsletter because they are adapting their application to measure things relevant to epilepsy, refractory epilepsy, and the associated comorbidities. And they particularly picked out on those 2 organisations initially. But when Sarah Wynne from Unique and I spoke with Alistair Parker with them last year, where we were pitching to them amongst other companies, we actually said, do you know what? Could you not broaden this to a wider range of refractory epilepsies, maybe across the DEEs, because you'd be probably wanting to monitor similar symptoms? And they absolutely agreed. So that's the opportunity that they're looking to see, you know, how the Aparito app could be expanded to be available to monitor across a range of rare epilepsies or people with different rare epilepsies, and so that data gathering could be much more widely utilised. And they'll give us a little bit more about the opportunity, but that sounds like a really positive opportunity for us to get involved. So I hope that will be really exciting. And then also we have Professor Rohit Shankar, a neuropsychologist from down in Cornwall, very renowned, much published, and his colleague John Allard. They're doing some work. They look less at the sort of clinical aspects of epilepsy, but they done a lot of research on epilepsy and intellectual disability and cognitive function and those sorts of things. And they're doing a piece of work that they're starting out at the moment that they'd like some PPE from us as organisations and thereafter from our patient communities that they'd like to engage all of us in, and they'll be looking to come and present their opportunity to all of us at the next call. So hopefully that will be some interesting stuff for us to get involved in next time round. I'm also in conversations still with a pharma company on a research opportunity for the network as well. And hopefully I might even have some more to say about that the next time we convene, but that's starting to move forward. So exciting times, I think. Hi, Jenny.
Hi, could I quickly ask, is anyone going to the Royal College of Paediatrics and Child Health conference, or has anyone done it before? Because we're considering having a stand, but it's expensive. I'd like to know what it's like.
Jenny, I was going to ask exactly the same question. We're looking at it as
See
well.
there.
Oh no, we haven't booked yet, which, as you said, is really expensive. So we are wondering if anyone had been and whether it's worth going.
We went several years ago, and I remember it was super expensive. And because it's, I don't know, you get a lot more sort of GPs there. I'm not sure if we felt it was worth the return on investment for organisations like ourselves. What do others experienced? Trudy?
I actually made contact with the conference organisers just before Christmas. Again, like you, Alison, I was flagging up the cost. So it's very expensive for small charities like ourselves. And basically I was told at the time that, you know, they didn't feel that they could reduce the price very much. So I reflected back the prices that we pay when we attend the BPNA and EPNS and all the other things. And so I had a bit of a dialogue going on, and they just said, would we be prepared to hold until the new year, because they may be able to come up with something for us. And we were pleasantly surprised to be told that yes, they could. They reduced the price. I think we're paying £250, I think, off the top of my head, which is a substantial reduction than I think it was £1,000 up for the actual conference attendance. And then obviously you've got the cost of hotel for us to stay and things like that. So yeah, we've actually managed to secure a place. So yes, I just would say try again and maybe do some some bartering. If that's the right word. Just be cheeky.
That's
Yeah,
useful to know they're
definitely.
open to negotiation.
Well, it was very much on a case of, we have to see how many people are interested, if there is a space, are you prepared to hold, and obviously to know later, you know, in the day, because I think the conference is mid-March, I think.
Yeah, 25th, 27th of March.
Yeah, so again, you had to sort of hold off. We just said we didn't have anything to lose, but obviously we'd be very, very happy to take you know, the UKRET leaflets with us to have them on our booth, because we just have managed to secure a booth. I had already spoken briefly to Alison about it in the past, and I know that she'd said that she didn't feel it was very, again, beneficial from the Ring 20 aspect. But we're really hoping to hit the paediatrician. You know, we're right at the core, right at the beginning, just because there are these key symptoms for GLUT1 deficiency. And so we really would like to be able to hit that audience, just to make them aware of these key symptoms. For us, earlier diagnosis, you know, gives us treatment in the form of ketogenic diet. So it's really, really important. You know, we do have a treatment, so we're sort of trying to aim that early treatment for our patients. Yeah, so I would say try.
Okay, thank you.
It's worth a go.
Cheers, Trudy. Julie?
Hi, just to add really, we used to do the RCPCH meetings quite regularly, and it did become expensive, but we did have the experience actually that Trudy had, that we negotiated nearer to the event, and they quite often would drop the price. But we didn't take it up again since before COVID, simply because it's a very broad meeting, as has been mentioned, and less focused on epilepsy, and we just had to pick our meetings really down to that. So overall, they were quite worthwhile, but just not worthwhile enough for us.
Okay. Claire?
I was just going to ask, actually, there was some discussion on the email about going to the adult meeting, the Association of British Neurologists. Is there any interest? May is usually quite busy for us, so don't tend to do things, but potentially be interested if anyone else is going to that.
Yeah, Julie?
Yeah, I had a conversation by email with them. They don't have any more availability for stands in person. They might have availability for a virtual stand. If anyone's interested, they should contact the ABN. I can give the details if anybody wants to message me for them. I'm just waiting. That's not confirmed with me, but you know, that's what we're hoping is going to happen. For us, we couldn't go in person anyway because it does clash with our own Keto College that same week. It's in Epilepsy Week.
Brilliant.
Yeah, thanks for letting us know. I think the adult, I think it was a really good suggestion through the email chain. I think we do have to consider thinking about the adult events, conferences and events, because actually the awareness, we all agreed, is greater in pediatrics, even though it's still not good enough, and there's still a lot more that we need to get across. But in the adult world, I think it's even less. So there's a lot more work to be done. But I don't know, is anybody aware of any other meetings, whether they be adult or epilepsy or rare disease or whatever related, that they think either as UKRET or as individual organisations, perhaps we should consider attending?
I've got a stand booked for the European Epilepsy Congress in Rome in, when is it, September? So I'm happy to take things, leaflets and things with me for that, from the UKRET stand.
Thanks, Carol-Ann, that'd be great.
I also contacted, I think I put it in one of the messages about the adult neurology annual meeting, and got quite a curt response back from their events, the person that was organising their conference. So basically they just said contact Neurological Alliance. So it sounds like they may have the monopoly on that conference, but it's a disappointment because there's such a huge gap, as we all know, about transitions to adulthood, and you know, what adult neurologists know about rare and complex epilepsies. So I don't know what the answer is really. I did speak to Philip at the BPNA about it, and he said that I think I don't know if it was their chair of trustees, but is based out of Edinburgh, that's in a similar location to the head of the adult neurology. So I don't know whether it's something that they could maybe collaborate and do a one-day, even if it's hybrid or if it's online, transition conference. But we need to do something because it's frustrating and ridiculous, particularly for us really small conditions. And
thanks, Carol-Ann. Julie?
Just to add to what Carol-Ann's saying there, if the ABN continue the conversation that I am having with them about a virtual stand, perhaps I can ask them for a UKRET one as a group, and at least we can all there have a presence. I'll certainly ask. And just to say also, Carol-Ann will be in Rome for the EC as well, so happy to take materials for that for UKRET too.
Well, who, a reunion, Julie?
Sounds good to me.
That's great. And I see that Claire's mentioned in the chat, yeah, maybe we need to lean on Sanjay a little bit. He has suggested to me, so we've had a couple of backs and forwards, you know, how Epilepsy Society might be able to help, and whether there's any opportunity that we can do anything like an event like we did with young epilepsy, on rare epilepsies, to raise more awareness in that adult field. And you know, I think that event needs to happen off the back of another conference or event, because as standalone, we know you don't get the traction or the audience participation. But yeah, certainly something that we can put to Sanjay and even Reese as well, Reese Thomas, to see what suggestions they might have that we can gain some traction in there. And just to pick up on a point that was made slightly earlier about virtual stands, my experience of when we've done the virtual stands for the BPNA and for other things is, I don't know whether it's just because Ring 20 is just so, there's just so little known or whatever it is, but we virtually don't get any visits or hits on virtual stands. And I've actually spent ages collating materials to fit in all these, you know, different formats that you have to do and share all these materials, and nobody even looks. I don't know if others have had similar experiences, or whether they found them actually to be really helpful. Yeah, I can see others have had similar challenges. Okay, so I think we're just over time. So this has been a really great meeting. Thank you so much. It's really well attended, given we're in half term. So thank you all for your time and your contributions. Please do continue to share opportunities, ideas, thoughts, events across the network in between our quarterly meetings, because I think it's really working well. Hopefully this network is still working for all of you guys, and if you have any thoughts for future meetings or agendas or opportunities, then you know, do please let me know, and we'll try and see if we can get stuff included. And thanks again, and speak to you all soon.
Thanks, Alison. Good to see everybody.
Thank you.
Everyone.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.